You have some serious networks going on Frequency now. So we have MeWe, we have WeAre8, and now Bluesky's, mega.
Most creators will want to reach a global audience all over, and it's going to be a huge win for creators. What we're doing, we managed to differentiate ourselves from other bidders because of Frequency, a way to run TikTok US. So we wanted to demonstrate the utility far before we list it.
I've seen no such Frequency token. What are you talking about? Are you launching tokens.
a token? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to just live your life, not have to jump through these weird hoops
without everyone taking a cut?
Satisfy somebody else's business model?
Launch team wishes you good luck and Godspeed.
Space Monkeys, blasting off with Braxton, the co-founder of Frequency, back on the show after a little bit, but a lot has happened. Man, welcome back.
Now we're in Denver. We were in New York, now Denver, right?
Yeah, nice. That big American company.
That's right.
All the rage now.
We brought swag for you because you're in Denver, beanie.
Little beanie, thank you.
We just rebranded, or updated our brand, I would say. Frequency.
Yes.
So we have new, my hat.
That's beautiful. I love this. I love this logo.
We're starting to make a little more noise this year. We have our own coffee for now.
Coffee, hey, thank you.
Frequency branded coffee.
Nice.
Yeah, so starting to hopefully see a lot more about Frequency.
I love it.
Out there.
It's like a winner's flag or something, That's awesome. It's a beautiful rebrand. Very nice update.
Thank you.
So, as you said, we're at ETH Denver, and I got kind of blindsided with big news out of your camp.
Yeah, it was a fast incoming.
Bluesky.
Yeah.
How many active users are there on the Bluesky network right now?
Gosh, I even don't know. It keeps climbing so fast. They're adding millions per day. They cost 30 million. And it's just really been intense for them.
Incredible.
We've been talking to them for a while. Jay came to our summit for Project Liberty last fall.
Yeah.
And we kind of got a real dialogue established then. A lot of common values, a lot of common interests,
Yeah.
As far as giving people control over their social identities, the way they interact with each other, the content they consume. They have some great technology around stackable moderation, stackable feeds.
Yeah. 30 million users is wild.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Wait, was Jack Dorsey involved in the creation of this?
In the very beginning.
In the very beginning, right?
The same night that we got our project greenlit, which became, led to Frequency.
Yeah.
The same night the news came out about Bluesky with Jack Dorsey.
Oh, wow.
I read it that same night, yeah.
Destiny.
So it's kind of a full circle here.
I actually remember, I think it was 2 consensuses ago, we were talking about Bluesky, not you and I, but me and another person, and kind of the philosophy that they were talking about, the protocol forward approach. Even back then we were talking about, somebody should talk to these people and get them on Polkadot.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. Right. So since Jack launched, he's not part of it really anymore, I think?
I don't believe so, but once again, we're, what's great about this project is to decentralize something, the best way to do it is not to be, even though we're very friendly with the folks there, we're not doing it from within Bluesky. We're decentralizing it because they're open, and this is a testament to what happens when you're actually have open source technology with open borders, so to speak, and people can actually interact. It's not like a formal legal partnership. It's just we can just do it, and so
you don't need permission to do it.
No.
Okay.
We have a relationship with them, so we aren't trying to be rogue and surprise people.
Gotcha.
I'd read about free hour feeds. I don't know if you've heard of free hour feeds, and so that's
free hour feed. Oh,
free hour feeds. If you go to freehourfeeds.com, with all the different things going on with social media, being without choosing political sides, there've been a lot of single actors who have control these networks, and you've seen with Metacorp, they're now changing all their policies in a dramatic way.
Yeah,
and that's one person, right? Yeah. Making those decisions. And so Free Hour Feeds, they kind of came out and said, we can't have all of our core social networks controlled by individuals. We need to be able to control our own feeds.
Yeah.
And so I read that, and they were trying to raise a lot of money to go and decentralize Bluesky was their first idea. And they're going to raise money. And I thought, we've already built all this infrastructure. We can decentralize Bluesky.
Nice.
And so I talked to our Wes Biggs, is one of our chief architect. Talked to Wes and Harry, our CTO, and said, I think we could do this, right? And they dug in to the Bluesky tech and came back with a design to actually basically publish the entire Bluesky firehose on Frequency.
So what's going on to Frequency specifically?
All of it. So we just went to testnet this week.
Yeah.
What's going to eventually happen is all of Bluesky, every post, everything will be on Frequency. all the history will be there.
Every post on
Every
Frequency.
post.
Whoa.
All the history, because all public. Blue Sky doesn't do direct messaging. They're all public. So
okay, I see.
it's
Interesting.
all there. And that's we support both private and public graphs, private public data.
Yeah.
That said, it's much easier to start with public content. And we wanted to start there anyway. So it became like, this is perfect, right? So once we realized it was technically feasible, then we reached out to both FreeR feeds and Blue Sky. And I got to give a shout out to Audrey Tang for helping to make all the right introductions and connect everybody. And
Thank you, Audrey.
Yeah, thanks, Audrey. And then we started all these engineers talking. We have a dialogue with the Blue Sky engineering team, with the FreeR feeds folks. And so it's been really great. Just a lot of folks kind of together. And then this is an important point. Robin at FreeR feeds, brilliant engineer, he made a comment. He said, I was skeptical that you could actually scale a global social network on chain, I've dug into your tech, and I think you guys actually have a real solution here.
Yeah.
2 main points with this to me, aside from just the broad celebration of openness. One is that we want to start to demonstrate the scale that is possible.
Yeah.
Right. And that we think we've done a lot of work to make this possible for social. A lot of the design of Frequency addresses some of that. And then the second point is Jay had a quote in the New Yorker in an article about our project. And I totally agree with her. She said, everybody wants interoperability. I'm paraphrasing, but everybody wants to have interoperability so long as their protocol's used.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so we thought it would be important to cross the divide. And so now we support AT protocol formatted data on Frequency as well as DSMP protocol.
Cool.
Compliance. So we have now 2 protocols on not fully compliant, but we're going to get there, and we're 2 are interacting on Frequency.
Epic. Okay, so these 30 million users are going to be onboarded over time. What does that look like? What does that curve look like? Like over a month or over 6 months? Or
We don't know yet, to be honest.
Right.
I think it's going to be fast. I mean,
is it an opt-in, or will people just...
Well, what we're doing is a couple things. That's really important. So it's public data. Anybody can build a Blue Sky relay. So as an individual, don't opt into that. We've had a thorough legal scrub of all this, by the way. We're very careful.
I bet.
But we are focused on people's privacy rights. And so even though it's all public, there's 2 things we're really focusing on. One is deletes. So how to make sure, we don't put media on chain, but anyway, so there's no serious risk anyway, but we want to make sure that deletes propagate through and there's no issues there.
Yeah.
And the second one is, this is important for our ecosystem, a way for people to say, you know what, I want to use this app. I don't want my post to go all over the internet. I just want them on this app.
Oh, yeah,
And if they do, we'll respect that. We won't put it on Frequency. It'll just stay on the app. If they don't care, then it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
I think a lot of most creators will want to reach a global audience all over. And it's going to be a huge win for creators, what we're doing.
Yeah.
But, we want to respect people's rights to control where their data ultimately goes.
You have some serious networks going on Frequency now. So we have MeWe. We have We Are 8.
Yep.
And now Blue Skies, mega. This is huge. Is there any interaction between the 3, or is that kind of an idea in the future?
No, I mean, our whole thesis from almost day one was that the way to change the landscape dramatically is to, in concert with new apps, which is always important, to migrate communities en masse. So MeWe was a great partner because we spent so much time on how do you have people move to the new Web3 without wallets, without interacting with tokens, without friction. And we've gotten our single sign-on now down to feature friction parity with like Apple, signing with Apple, signing with Google, and our product teams worked really hard to get that friction down.
Yeah.
And so the migration is a key part. And then behind that brings up the other big program we should talk about, which we haven't really announced, but we need to. So we can start here, and maybe we'll do a blog post on that too.
Okay.
So we have been evolving our rewards program because, we have a large, like most projects, pool of tokens with a foundation that ultimately go to the communities that use Frequency.
Okay.
And so our first iteration was trying to give people tokens for coming into the Frequency ecosystem.
Yeah.
But the issue with that is my point earlier. We want people to also not need to have wallets and tokens.
I know, right.
There was a lot of friction tied to that.
Yeah.
What we are doing now as a second iteration is we just got approved on chain a program that rewards app developers when they send their users to other apps in our ecosystem.
Cool.
So it creates basically we're funding in a way the marketing acquisition for apps in the ecosystem. And so MeWe is a great partner. They're excited to start this. They're ready to go.
Whoa.
They're going to kick off with our Soar AI has a
Soar AI,
app called Citizen Portal. It's a portal for people to leverage AI to keep up with what's happening in your congressional district and your with with your local leaders and be an active citizen. So we're going to start there and have other apps behind that doing this interop program where if you send one of your users to another app on Frequency with a single sign-on, which we've got the friction down,
Yeah.
You'll then get awarded tokens for doing that.
This is so different than the current paradigm, which is like, I'm going to keep my users in my walled garden.
Totally.
And yeah, you're an X user, you're a Facebook user, or an Instagram user.
That's right. And our goal is a network of networks. Rising tide lifts all boats.
Amazing.
So,
yeah.
We're excited about that. So we'll start small with a couple apps narrowly focused on segments, and as we see it work, we'll scale it up. But that's important as we bring on these bigger networks to have this interoperability start to happen.
Okay, well, I'm just going to take off my unbiased journalist hat. I'm going to put on my bullish beanie.
Awesome.
So you're talking about a token, though. I've seen no such frequency token. What are you talking about? Are you
Frequency
launching
tokens.
a token?
Well, we've already minted our tokens. There are frequency tokens.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Yeah. So you stake frequency tokens for capacity on the network.
Oh, I see.
And all the apps do, but we grant them out right now.
Okay.
And actually, we do have a program already built for users, which democratizes kind of supporting apps where if I like your app, I can stake my tokens to boost your app. I can basically stake my tokens for your capacity.
Oh, like app staking.
Yep. To lower your overall, your cost to operate on Frequency.
Cool.
So that's all working today. The tokenomic system's already running. We're just going to go to listing at some point in the future, but we wanted to demonstrate the utility far before we list it and open up. But
brilliant.
But through the new program, get tokens as well. So this new program I'm mentioning, the interop, it will also award tokens to the actual individuals who move between apps also.
I see. Okay, so if I'm a developer and I bring users from MeWe to Bluesky, as a developer, I get an allocation, but also the users who move over can claim.
That's right.
Right. But they might not necessarily know.
We know that's the case because these are not Web3 people. They aren't like into tokens.
Yeah, but thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure the ethos is there. You can get them. Everybody has this address. You kind of your MSA address. That's your actual core account. Mm-hmm. We're doing some work to assign tokens to your address, so you'll have them there for you on chain.
Yeah.
And you can claim them whenever.
It's very similar to the mythical model where people are just playing a game, but if they want to claim their assets, they can do it. But they don't have to.
Yeah.
I think this is the next meta. It's the adoption with people who aren't yapping about it on social media, just people who are just using it.
That's right. Our goal is to be just be there.
Yeah.
People kind of all of a sudden have the data rights without even knowing it. And then eventually they can engage more and more, and we'll see how that evolves.
So you're on testnet with the Bluesky already, and when can we kind of expect to see this? Like, what's that process look like?
Yeah, that's why this kind of came out so fast. We just said, let's just talk about it. We have a cafe here at ETH Denver. We said, let's just talk about it here. And
yeah.
And Mark was there, and other people posted about it. So we're just a scrappy kind of way of letting this decentralize its way through the disseminate the information in a decentralized way.
Has it hit the user base yet, or?
No,
not yet. Eh?
Not yet. No, we're just on testnet. We've got end-to-end working now, and so we're gonna look at probably in the next couple of weeks going to mainnet and then drive it from there.
What do you think the users of Bluesky are going to think about this? Is it a concern, or?
The users that care about it can claim their own information now in a way that nobody can take it away ever, right? Because right now the vast majority of users they're on a PDS, a personal data server that's run by Bluesky.
Yeah.
And Bluesky is very open. You can build your own, but who's going to really do that? It's kind of like token claiming. Who does that, right? Not many mass market consumer people.
Sure.
So this, without them doing anything, they've now got their data secured on a chain. They don't have to worry about it going anywhere anymore. It's mutable. It's there. So we've kind of given them the rights. We think the people that care about these data rights will be super excited.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bluesky is obviously huge. And this has always been the trouble with social media attempts on blockchain. It's like starting from zero and trying to grow a network. Different strategy, just onboarding the big networks. There was another big network that we were talking a lot about on our channel a few weeks ago, TikTok, the big TikTok deal. I think, we were covering it a lot and people were very excited, but with the presidential change and all the new information that has come out, I think it's a little hung up right now, right? I
would say it's still in progress. I'm focused on the tech side of it.
Of course.
Versus the political side, which is so many layers and so many
Please stay
strands.
Focused.
But on the tech side, I would say I feel we've managed to differentiate ourselves from other bidders because of Frequency. Because basically what we offer is a way to run TikTok US with a US-based algorithm and all that tech stack completely. Yeah. But through Frequency, you then would, when you post as a creator, your post would go on Frequency, and then the global TikTok apps could pick up those posts, feed them through those algorithms,
Sure.
and you'd still have your global reach.
They could feed it in,
but
yeah.
with a US-based algorithm for US-based users,
So
right?
you don't need to create a US TikTok,
Exactly.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
we haven't heard of anybody else with an actual solution. And of course, we've been working on this for years. So we're confident that we have the only actual technical solution to kind of serve the national security interests of the US
Yeah.
and serve the global reach interests of TikTok creators.
Right.
So we're trying to reach out to creators to make sure they understand this as well.
I see. You can throw as much money as you want at the deal, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't solve that, I guess it's a legal issue, right? Congress defined what was legal in this case.
That's right.
If you can't fix that, what are you going to do?
Exactly. So we don't see anybody else solving this problem.
Right.
Because if you just hack off TikTok and run it in the US, well, that's a lot of creators are going to really be upset to lose their global audience, right?
How to destroy a network, right?
Exactly. So we think another case that showcases what we've built and how it's designed to be this lower level substrate that populates the entire internet versus just focus on one vertical social stack.
Right. So if it were to happen, Frequency is ready?
Yes, but when I say ready, even with MeWe, we spent 18 months moving people over by segment to make sure we got everything right, scaling was right, friction was right. Same with Bluesky, same with TikTok. It wouldn't be a snap your fingers. It'd be segments moving, and we've done a ton of work on how social graphs work to avoid, once again, with respecting data rights, how to avoid shadow graphs and things. So if Ursula comes over and she has opt-in, so she knows she's coming over, and you don't, we're not going to have your graph on chain until you come over. But still we have to have everything work. So, and we've done a lot of work on that migration kind of technology.
But you're not really involved in the negotiations. That's a Project Liberty situation. If it comes, it comes.
Yes, and I think it goes all the way up, obviously. So beyond Project Liberty into the administration. So
wow.
We'll see where it goes.
Those must be very interesting meetings.
Yeah.
Very cool.
We hope that we can do what we're doing with Bluesky, we can do with every other major network, X and all the others. We think it's important that humans, all of us, start to communicate and get out of these silos.
So important.
Because they become kind of political silos. That's a bad thing. We don't want to be a network with only people that are like-minded. We want a network that people can run into each other and cross paths,
Personally, I love when I see a post, coming from the other side, a post that I might not agree with. I just love seeing it because then I feel like I go forth into the world, not totally ignorant to what other people think.
Right.
Yeah, that's high value for me.
And then it's about the context on top. So we do a lot of work with academics at Project Liberty Institute on, how do you think globally but act more locally, and how do you get more conversations with more context? So, yes, it's global reach, but a lot of the interactions can have more context, so you don't have people shouting at each other, like in kind of tribal warfare,
Yeah, super. Well, and if it comes, it comes, and that would be great. Yeah. And this is a high value add to any network, and it might get to the point where networks have to join in, right?
That's our goal. Our goal is to keep doing this, and eventually it tips over where we've got the right kind of ethics, regulatory compliance, interest of the people, and it's the people's internet, and it becomes, why are you not on this people's internet? Why are you siloing your people off?
Totally.
And having them on an island? So that's exactly the intent.
Speaking of kind of going beyond borders, you guys have recently launched a multi-chain strategy. Now, some people, I don't know, who are a little bit on the sad side, were saying you guys are leaving Polkadot. But let's get this on the record. Are you leaving Polkadot?
No, we're multi-chain. In spirit, I would say, and that doesn't mean, by the way, running parallel systems on all the networks. It's not quite that. It's more sophisticated than that. What we're trying to say is, we're trying to be at population scale, so we can't be, focused once again on one community. We're not limited to DSMP, which I'm co-creator of that, and we're embracing AT protocol, right? So we don't want to be tribal with the tech. We want to be, cross-connecting. So a great example of this multi-chain, and a very loose use of the term when I use it, is it's been announced that MeWe is launching a token. They're running on Frequency. They're launching a token on Avalanche. So now our world touches, Avalanche.
It's cool.
But are we integrating Avalanche directly with Frequency right now? No. Now we might someday, but right now it's through the app layer that the same person could be running on. They could be trading Avalanche tokens while on a system that's running on Frequency, that's running on Polkadot. So they could it's a multi-chain world even without having the chains talk. I think sometimes people get into like this kind of mindset of DeFi and exchange where it all has to be cross-chain communications, which I think is great, and nothing against that. But there's a lot of multi-chain strategy could be done in other ways, and that's what we're talking about as well.
Don't we see this in Web 2 where we have apps leveraging multiple cloud providers? Like, what's the big deal?
That's right. I was at I won't get on my resume, but a large company, we did multi-cloud strategy, and that was exactly it. We worked with all the cloud providers. Obviously, we didn't do the same thing with all the cloud providers.
Right.
Some providers are better at certain things than others, and we tried to use the best tool for the job.
Yeah.
And so that's all we're looking at is that.
With this MeWe as an example, what information or what would be useful to keep on Polkadot, and what might be useful to have on another network?
Well, in our case, it's more, I could talk more with MeWe about frequency versus MeWe coin. What they call it, they've got a name for it. I think it's Soshi.
Oh,
so it's going to be Soshi and frequency.
Cool.
And Soshi is like a consumer level coin. And I'll let them talk about it because I'm not deeply involved in all the design, but it's for their actual, they call them members of MeWe to use with their mechanics of how they run groups. And, MeWe's all about private groups interacting that way. And so they can use those Soshi coins as part of that use case.
Yeah.
Frequency is all about just, like I said, being almost behind the scenes like a cloud provider where they all are connecting, and when they sign on, they're touching frequency. But it's just for them a sign on, and their data's there, but they access it usually through other apps like MeWe.
Awesome.
And we hope they'll see more when they jump to other apps, because we're hoping over time we want to give rise to a virtual decentralized app store. So we can finally get away from these high rents that we pay right now to be in the Apple App Store.
Oh, I see. Yes.
And these crazy situations where I can't even buy a book on my Kindle in the App Store. I got to go to the web and all these convoluted things. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to just live your life, not have to jump through these weird hoops
without everyone taking a cut,
satisfy somebody else's business model?
Yes.
So we want that to happen, and we've got the tech for it now. We want people to wake up to this, and once people wake up, I think it's going to be just a very fast sea change.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of paying rent and economics, it does cost money to run a roll-up on Polkadot. Frequency, right? Needs to burn DOT to run. So how do those economics work? How's that all gonna pan out?
Oh, that's a great question. So that's exactly what we designed Frequency for, was to basically say, okay, how do you map the resource consumption from social to the lower level resource consumption you have, like on the Polkadot chain as an example?
Gotcha, yeah.
And so what Frequency does is we have a notion of capacity. And we focus on the app developers need capacity to run on the network, and they stake tokens for that. And that makes capacity and the network operations and CapEx versus OpEx for those app developers.
Yeah, gotcha.
I've been there, so I know how valuable that is to have predictable, stable pricing for a period of time. You lock it in, and then you can renew. We call them epochs, and you can stake more tokens if you're growing like a weed. You can stake less if you're having a fallow period. You can adjust, but you have control over how much bandwidth you consume.
Yeah.
And then the frequency chain in turn passes that resource on down to lower level resources. That's kind of how the frequency token works. The other critical thing here is even the app developers are staking tokens and manage that resource. The individual users have their data on frequency, and they have the rights. The app developer is only going to have access to your data if you delegate, but you can revoke access and delegate to other apps. And so we've got this interesting dichotomy where the apps pay for the resources, as they should, but the individuals actually control the data and have control over which apps have access to them. So it forces the apps to actually do the right thing by the user.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of an inception kind of
it's really interesting, because obviously, let's use TikTok as an example, because they make revenue through selling ads, right?
Right.
And with that revenue, they pay for the cost of running all the infrastructure that makes TikTok happen. This is just another part of the infrastructure. This is just another cost with running the app, right? But as far as the revenue goes, is it going to be the case where I have to give permission to be advertised at, or how's that going to look? Well,
if you use the app, you're going to pretty much, it'll most likely in the early days be very binary, like it is with MeWe, which is you either use the app and give them permission or don't. Over time, it will get more sophisticated as we add more sophisticated personal data sets on chain, which that's ahead of us. But right now, it's more just, when I say revoke access, it's like, if you're like, you know what, I don't want to use Facebook anymore, I'm going to go and use X, or I'm going to go and use Bluesky, you can revoke access. You're deplatforming them, they're not deplatforming you.
Nice.
So they lose access to all your data that's on chain.
Gotcha.
But now X or Bluesky has it, but Facebook doesn't. You can change your mind and go back and delegate and revoke at will, right? That's the way it works. But for them to even be able to receive your delegation, they have to be on Frequency and staking tokens to get their capacity.
Yeah.
So that's their incentive is these network effects. Back in the day, myself and a lot of our engineers built apps on, in the Facebook and Twitter world back in the day. And then we got cut off. They cut their APIs off and just shut us out. So we tell app developers, this is an immutable marketplace where an immutable network, once you're in it, you're in it. You can't be shut out. Now, what happens between you and individual users, that's between you and them, not us.
Yeah.
But that's the way it always should be, right? You shouldn't have a platform cutting you off. It should be just, you didn't do a good job for your users. That's on you.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a great job, having a platform cut you off because they like your business model, they want to take it. That's what we want to avoid, right? Or get away from.
Okay, so hey, what's your token called, by the way?
Frequency.
But what's the
it's like FRQCY, yeah.
FRQCY.
Just the short for free, but it's not listed yet. So
yeah, it's not listed
stay tuned.
Right,
we're looking at doing that soon.
Second half, yeah. Braxton, what an honor to have you back on the show with so much great news. This is fantastic.
Yeah, we've been working hard.
Yes, good stuff.
Sure.
And one of the most important rollups on Polkadot, you're right up there with a lot of amazing big consumer rollups. And
I hope we'll move way up at the top soon is our goal.
No doubt about it. Yeah, I love that race at the top. It's exciting to watch.
Ready to drive harder. We participate in spamming and all that. So we want to be driving, putting heat on the ecosystem. That's our goal. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing it all.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.